Hi guys, and welcome back to a Hug 360 reading and writing video. So in today's video, our topic is going to be vocabulary. So the reason as to why I chose vocabulary to be this video's topic is because vocabulary is really important, especially in reading and writing. And the way we use words, and especially the words that we choose, really help to set the scene for stories and for essays as well. So in today's lecture or video, we're going to be talking about some very frequently used words and some very common words, and I'm going to be giving you some more unique words that you can use instead in your writing that'll hopefully spice up your writing and reading skills. So you can also use these when you're writing essays or when you're writing like different things for school. It's very important to be using like different types of vocabulary, and I hope this video will help you with that. So let's get started. The first thing, or the first word that we're going to talk about is the word good. So as you can see, good is a very common word when we use English, and some words that we can use to replace good are words such as exceptional and superb. So those are really exceptional words to replace good. Another word that we can often see in like essays and books is the word new. So new is a very common word, it's very short, but words that we can use that are more fancier and that will replace new include recent and modernized. So modernized just means like a new modern way of like looking at something or seeing something. So you can say a modernized structure or a modernized book. These are all ways to say new, but in like a fancier vocabulary. Another word that we can talk about is the word different. So a lot of the times in essays we use different to contrast different things, but a good word to replace different is uncommon or striking. So for instance, instead of saying, oh, these are two very different books, you can say, oh, this book is more striking than the other ones, or this book is more uncommon than the other ones. And it's still saying that both the books are different, but in different terms, or in more uncommon terms. Another word that we can talk about is the word next. So especially in essays, I feel like I use the word next a lot, but words that we can use to replace next include upcoming and following. So for instance, we can say this like, let's say, if you're like writing a cooking tutorial or something, you can say first, like beat the eggs. Instead of saying next, preheat the oven, you can say something like upcoming, or following that, we can preheat the oven. It's just a fancier word to use instead of next. Another word that is commonly used is the word never. So the reason why we don't like the word never in reading and writing is because never is a very bold word. Never means not ever, like a 0% chance. And you know, in life, not everything is 0% chance. There's always some chance of anything, even the most impossible things happening. So instead of using never, we use words that are, you know, less bold and less 0% wise. So for instance, scarcely, rarely, and seldom. So these still mean that the likelihood of some event is very unlikely to happen, but it still leaves a little room for like, you know, it still maybe can happen. So instead of saying she will never go to blah 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 school, or she'll never move to New York, instead of saying that, you can say she'll rarely ever move to New York, or it seems rare that she'll ever move to New York, because there's still a little chance that she will, but it's still pretty scarce or pretty rare. Another word we can talk about is the word ask. Instead of using ask, we can use the words interrogate and examine. These are both really good words to replace ask. You can say the policeman interrogated this man. It's a really great word instead of using the policeman asked this man about like the burglary or something like that. Another word that we often use is the word bad. Bad is, I mean, it's a very common word, but it doesn't always, you know, represent what we want to get across. So some other words we can use are pretty fancy words, include atrocious, corrupt, and sinful. So atrocious is a pretty fancy word. Essentially, it just means bad. Corrupt and sinful are also pretty good replacements of the word bad, and you can use them in a lot of your essays. It definitely spices up your vocabulary game. The last word we're going to talk about today is the word big. So instead of using the word big, you can say words such as immense, vast, or mammoth. So mammoth is one of my favorite words to use, because if you know the word mammoth itself, it's actually an animal. It's a really huge animal, kind of like a buffalo, but like larger. And just like the size of that animal also corresponds to this word, we can say like a mammoth amount of blank. So that also means a big amount of blank, but it seems fancier to use the word mammoth, or you can use vast or immense. So these are all the words that we talked about today. If you want, you can always keep this for reference, or you can search on the internet and you'll definitely find with more words, but hopefully this video helped you out a little bit. It's definitely important to use different types of vocabulary and various types of vocabulary within your essays, and hopefully this video gave you some inspiration as to different words that you can use.